All right, Dylan. I forget what episode of Turn Back the Clock this is. It's in the 40s, but more importantly, right now, this is number one on the Sports Card Clubhouse podcast network. Turn Back the Clock, first episode there. How we doing?
I'm doing excellent. I'm really excited to hang out with you, Adam, talk some cards and talk whatever we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I got some fun little topics here. We're gonna probably go for 30 to 45 minutes. I got some interesting opinion-based stuff that I want to get your thoughts on. I'll give my thoughts on. I do want to do a shout out that I don't know. Did you happen to watch? Today is Thursday. This video will probably be coming out on Friday tomorrow. Did you watch Shane Shoebox Legends video from today?
Best video. I love Shane put some words out and his
Yeah.
opinions out, and it was from the heart. I made a post right when I got up like 4 in the
Okay.
morning with my arm, and man, I was blown away.
Yeah, I texted him. I love the video. I mean, I Shane's our friend, so I like all his videos. But this one, I really liked his psychology about everything he was talking about, and it really he made such a good point where he was talking. I'm gonna put a link to that video in this one. I recommend everyone watch it if they haven't. But he made such a good point that even if you're not into like following the value of your collection, once you buy a card, a lot of people don't care what it's worth or what it becomes, and I understand that. I've been there. But in a market like this, if you're trying to improve your collection, it does actually benefit you to keep an eye on certain cards, because I can tell you there's been situations where I didn't know a card I had in my collection like skyrocketed in value, and I maybe missed a window here and there where I might have sold it, but I ended up not selling it. Or maybe I could have downgraded it. So I thought he made a great point as to the value of, even if you're not always interested in it, it does help you keep an eye on things sometimes in case you might want to, take some money off the table and put it into something different.
Dude, yeah, he nailed it. And he doesn't do that many, if ever, like opinionated from the heart videos on subjects like that. And to me, when he speaks, I listen because he's so knowledgeable in this hobby. And the way he talked about how some of his cards that he bought in the past that no one collected have become worth so much, how much money is sitting there, free money that you can apply to your collection today. And it really hit the spot for me too, because me and him text like you too. And I've been looking at my cards a lot differently too. Now, I'm not a card ladder guy. I don't want to follow the track. I don't ever want to look at my collection, click a button and say it's worth 20,000 today and 10,000 tomorrow and 30,000 the next day. That's for my stock account. I don't want that in my baseball cards. I will never use a company like Card Ladder. I mean, never say never. But I do text sometimes. I'll text you like, hey, can you give me a comp for this? Because I don't know what it is. But to me, I don't want that to happen. But I definitely pay attention to value for the exact reason Shane's talking. Every once in a while, you go through your cards, and I have like a 1951 Topps Warren Spahn in a PSA 8 on my wall, an old cert. Why on earth do I need a PSA 8 1951 Topps Warren Spahn that has rounded corners when I have twos that look exactly the same? So I see an extra $350 in that card that I can put towards another card. And I don't want all that money sunk into a Warren Spahn 51 Topps anyways. And I bought that so long ago, probably for less than $100. It's just nice to know that. But, I don't need Card Ladder to tell me that. But I get it why people use that, because I would get notices probably across my board, right? Like, oh, that card too? Wow, I could do that with that one. I thought about doing it with 2001. I have a 2001 Topps traded right here, gold Ichiro and Pujols in a PSA 9. That thing skyrocketed in value.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought about taking that money, selling it, buying an 8, taking the extra $2,000, buying an 8 back and having $2 extra $1,000 to spend. That runs through my head. I'm not going to do that with that card, but I am going to do it with the Spawn, and I have a huge stack of others. So I was intrigued by that video, and I think you nailed it on the head. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and specifically too, I didn't mention this, but when he was talking about cards that he hadn't looked at in forever, so I thought that hit home with me too, because I have those too, where it's like, I mean, you got this awesome wall there where you look at a lot of your cards. I have cards that I don't look at really, so that really struck a chord too. And especially if they've gone up a lot in value, if I'm not looking at them and I've gone up a lot in value, it's good to know. And I do like card ladder, I have to admit. I like not so much of like what's the total value of my collection that has that feature, but it does have a lot of other collector features, which I really like. I'm having some fun with it. So
Well, I know that you do, you have all your images in one location,
yeah.
all the lists are,
Yep.
I think it's spectacular. And if I could click my finger and I had all the images up and everything, I would use that if I didn't see the values. I really don't want to see the values change on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It would mess with my mind too much where the opposite would happen to me. I would see a card and be like, man, maybe I should sell that right now. I don't want to time the market on my baseball cards. I
And you
don't
can
want
turn
to.
that feature off too, just so you
Oh,
know.
you can. Oh,
So it's
well,
good
there
they
we
did
go.
that, because you're
Oh,
not alone with that. A lot of people don't want to get an email every day or look at and see, oh, my value went up or down. Yeah, so that's a nice part is you can customize it to however you'd want to use it, basically.
that's pretty interesting. See, that's why I never say never.
I
Sell
have
me on it some more.
next, I just have a couple quick things I got to make.
Okay.
Obviously, like I mentioned, this is on the Sports Card Clubhouse Network, the first podcast ever on the network, Surface Issues with Mike and Greg. There's been 2 episodes out so far of that, and in episode 2, you were mentioned by Mike. I have to mention this.
Oh yeah.
I don't. Did you hear the part? I could not believe this. Mike couldn't remember, and he was serious. He couldn't remember if you like centered cards or don't like centered cards. And Greg was surprised as well. Mike, if you watch this, which I think you might, what's going on, man? How can you not know if Dylan likes centered cards? Like, everyone knows that, man.
Here's the best part about Mike in that story. I don't think Mike watches any of my videos. I love Mike. He's an awesome guy. But we were at the National like a year ago. We were both hunting for the 1941 play ball Ted Williams. I had seen a couple, and he came up to me. I ran into him, and I go, he said, "Oh, have you seen any of those?" And I go, "Yeah, there's one over there, but it's too far off centered for my taste. Too far off center." I told him. He went over there and bought it. So I know he thinks he's a centering guy. He's not as crazy as me. I'm a full-blown centering guy. I didn't buy that copy because it wasn't dead centered. So
I thought everyone knew you were a centering guy.
Me too. I was
He knew you were like a something guy. You were known for
Yeah.
something, but he wasn't sure if it was off centered or centered. In
Oh,
a parallel universe, Dylan's like an off centered guy. Like he sold all his centered cards and he's going after the miscut cards.
so good.
All right. The next quick point too. They mentioned their favorite or least favorite or favorite bottled water.
Oh yeah.
And Mike wasn't familiar with Arrowhead water, and because when I lived in Arizona, notoriously it was terrible. Arrowhead water was like 1 out of every 2 bottles you get of it, you open it up and it smells like a sewer. Yep. Horrible. I don't know how
I don't understand how anyone drinks that stuff. When Greg said that, I had that in my head. I go, tell me Arrowhead, say Arrowhead. Right. How can anyone drink that crap? Oh, bad
water. I don't know how they get away with putting it out still. I don't know who's buying it. And really, guys, we shouldn't be drinking any bottled water. Plastic is not good for us, right? We should be drinking out of a glass bottle or one of those like, safe things, filtered water. But that's my take on water. But yeah, there you go. All right. The next quick thing I wanted to get your opinion on. So, this is going to be going out as a podcast. It will also be going out on the YouTube channel too, Sports Card Clubhouse, but it will be going out on the podcast first. I want to get your thoughts. I was listening to Sports Card Dad had Jeff Wilson on his channel recently.
Yeah.
And Jeff was saying how they put almost no thought or effort into their podcast, Sports Card Investor Podcast. All their, marketing and attention and everything goes towards the YouTube channel. And, part of his reasoning is just such a small podcast audience, in his opinion, along with other things. But I wanted to get your take on that, because when I first met you, you were always talking about how you were always a podcast guy. And I was too. Before I ever got on YouTube here, I never really used YouTube that much at all. But I did listen to a ton of podcasts, and I still do. So I've always kind of been a podcast first guy. What's your take on that?
My take is that the audience that watches Jeff Wilson is a younger audience. And I think the younger crowd wants the visuals, wants the hoopla, wants all that. And I think the older crowd like us in our 40 sums, you know, I'm a listener. Like put it on, put my headphones in and get other stuff done while I'm listening to people talk about cards. So like when Greg does his videos, he does like 7 videos a week. I listen to every single one because I would rather listen to someone talk about baseball cards. Even though I know Greg's position on so many things, I'm still intrigued by it. So I just think the podcast thing is just kind of a different generation, possibly. I mean, I could be wrong there, but it's also, I don't know how much money you could possibly make making a podcast. So he's getting paid by YouTube. I don't know anything behind it. But for me with YouTube, I'm a long format guy. I do not like short videos. I don't like short card videos. Okay, like 20 minutes. I like 20 minutes. I hate clicking on one and it's 5 minutes and then I got to go find something else. I want to sit in my card room and pop it on and just listen to people talk about cards. Even if I don't even like what they're saying or they're talking about grading again, everybody's all like, everyone gets up in arms about, oh, they're talking about the same thing again. Of course we are. This is what we do. I love to hear people's thoughts on grading, even if I've heard it 1,000 times. I want to hear about eye appeal. I want to hear about this and this and this. And if I don't, I mean, it's just in my ear. I'm not wasting any of my time. It's just there. I don't have to like tune in to every single word. I really find it fascinating. A little side note, like I've read a couple of comments on Greg's channel. He's pretty big. And he gets so much flack from people like, this again, why are you doing this? And I'm thinking in my head, it's his freaking channel. He can talk about anything you want until now. Anyone's going to get pissed off and leave comments in this message. I'm just telling you my thoughts and opinions. These are my personal thoughts and opinions. If you want to leave comments like that, that's fine. I just don't understand the point. If I build something up and I spend 3 years and I dedicate 10 hours a week, he's dedicating probably 20 hours a week to something, and he wants to talk about something, by all means, talk about anything you want. And then also, side note, having your friends on your own channel and the same guys over and over again, hallelujah. They are your friends. We all come on YouTube and we make little clicks, right? And they're not clicks that we don't want other people in, not at all. I have new people that pop up on YouTube and I become friends with them instantly because the way they collect or how they talk about cards or how their videos are. And I want to have those guys on my channel. I invite my friends on my channel because they're my friends. I'm not here to make $1 million. I'm here to hang out with my friends. So when I see comments like that as well, oh, same guys over and over, there is a place for collectors. If you reach out to them, you can go on their channel. You can be on any channel you want if you make that effort. If you start making your own videos and your own tag team, like Jason, Everyday Card Collector, has a buddy, he goes on and then he does it with Sammy, and everyone has their little group. I don't want to have people on the show. Like, I'm not going to invite people on my live stream that I have no idea who they are. I want to talk to my friends. So I get that side of it too. And it just bothers me that everyone just gangs up on guys like Greg or guys that have seems like over 5,000 followers. I don't get those type of things on mine, but he gets them. And it doesn't make sense in my own brain. I don't get it.
I hear what you're saying. And so wait a minute, you're saying you don't like my 5 or 8 minute videos that I do once a month where you know what,
I'm like, come on, dude. You can
well,
talk
here's the thing. Here's the thing that this is why I love doing this with you, is because I could talk to you for hours, man. But when I'm on by myself, I love you could go for an hour by yourself or 2 hours by yourself, and you're great at it. And me, I just don't. I don't know. When I'm just there by myself, I have a hard time, and I'm just like, oh, that's it after 8 minutes. But so I guess I just like talking with my, like you said, my friends like you, and maybe that's why the podcast thing is a good fit for me, because a lot of those are going to be conversations, and I kind of like that. But I hear what you're saying. And with the podcast thing, because I think during COVID when everyone was at home, right, and you could sit at home and watch YouTube videos more than a lot of people can now. A lot of
Yeah.
people now, it's kind of like back to the old days where they're driving to work, so they're trying to listen to something. You can't really watch it while you're driving, or if you squeeze in some time, you generally can squeeze in a podcast if you're mowing the lawn or something like that. So I think you're right. I think it has a lot to do with the age range. I'm thinking, I'm sure there's numbers out there of the prime podcast age range where maybe it's like, 40 to 55 or something like that.
Yeah.
You see like the Joe Rogan podcast where he's got millions and millions. So there's definitely people who listen to podcasts. I think it's just, that maybe the younger crowd hasn't gone into the podcast realm as much yet than, the 20 somethings or whatever, that more so than like the 40 somethings where podcast might be more up our alley based on our lifestyle and all the things we're doing throughout the day.
Yeah. And a lot of us, 40 sums have been collecting cards a long time. So we don't need to see every single card. We don't need to watch every video. We know what they're talking about. We know exactly what card they're speaking of, and we can picture it. So a lot of that can go into it as well.
Well, that's a perfect lead into my next question for you, because this has kind of been a topic I've seen in a few videos recently. I want to get your take. What is, in your opinion, what's the reason why videos where on YouTube, sports card YouTube videos, where someone is talking about their collection, they may be showing cards, but even ones where they're just talking about, like, for example, I went on Victor's, the Rookie Card Specialist channel, and we did a video, and that was a longer video. It was probably close to an hour. So, those tend to obviously not get as many views and things like that, as much attention as like a video that might be 12 minutes or 15 minutes, based on the algorithm and people's attention spans. But, we talked about my collection, my Tom Brady collection, my complete run of his rookie cards. And I don't know how many views it got, maybe a few hundred, couple hundred views, right? And that's pretty standard. That's, I think, what you expect when you make a video like that, where it's like a deep dive where you talk about your collection, or even a video where you're just showing pickups or a big pickup. Those don't get nearly as many views as a video where someone's talking about the hobby or talking about investing or opinions on the hobby, a rant, so to speak. When I first got onto YouTube, a lot of people were saying it's all about the cards. People are here for the cards. They want to see the cards, but yet the numbers don't back that up. So what do we make of this?
I mean, it's kind of simple. It's the same thing, goes back to like the podcast. You like to watch a video showing cards. Like that's what I do on my channel. I'm not getting thousands of views on my show and tells. It's more for me, less than it is for people watching. I just enjoy the show and tell aspect. And I think for us collectors, there's a certain number of guys that I really want them to watch my channel because they're my good friends and they collect like me and we root for each other's things. So you have the little core audience that comes and watches. But the rest, you can just pop it in your headphones. You don't have to watch. And everyone always talks about, like, when we do these lives and everyone's like in the chat, show a card already,
Yeah.
show a card. We don't even care because we can't even see the dang card.
Right.
Especially if I'm doing the video because I'm all blurry. I like showing cards. That's the funnest part about it. As someone who's on a show, I love showing my collection, but I can talk about it just as easily and it's just as effective, and more so because you can just listen to it. Everybody knows what these cards look like and I can discuss the eye appeal. That's why, like, when I'll do a video, I dive really deep into every aspect of the card. So if you are listening and you choose to listen, you can listen and you can just get just as much out of it. It's one of those things, videos showing cards, you have to sit there and you have to watch, where when you're just talking, you can just pop it in your head and listen.
So it's an easier listen than, it's more work required for those videos where it's a visual video where you got to actually watch it. Now, let me take it a step further, because I totally agree with you. I watch all your videos and I watch the ones where you're showing a pickup. I am interested in what you're picking up. I like to see what you're doing with your collection because I'm your friend. Now, do you think it's that? Do you think it's that if you're friends with someone, you're interested in what they're doing, their collection, But let's say someone stumbles upon a video of me showing my Tom Brady collection, or you showing, your Japanese baseball card pickups. If they don't know us and they're not our friends, should they even care? Like, why would I could see them caring about opinions, right? Because it's interesting. But if they don't know us from Adam, right? Why would they care about what we're doing with our collection? Is that kind of the root of why those views don't show up as much as the other type of videos?
Yeah, and in all reality, I mean, so I go through phases, right? Sometimes I want to find little videos, 20-minute long videos, and watch people that I'm not super close with, but I enjoy how they talk about each card they get. So it all comes down to whether the guy is just going, this is a 1960 Topps Roberto Clemente, this is a 1972 Topps so and so, or a guy who takes the card and talks about it. Why did he buy this card? Why he that entered his collection? Then I'm intrigued and I want to look at that card. It was it the eye appeal? Is that why he bought it, or was it because it fit his set? That's what's interesting to me, and how the personality of the person is the most important thing, right? I don't want to just have blah blah blah. I want someone excited. I want an energetic person. I want them to just talk deeply. They don't have to talk fast like me. They can talk like Eric, those back pages, slow, steady, precise. They know what they're talking about. I love that stuff. I just want to feel the passion. And it all comes down to what mood I'm in when I watch a video. Do I want to watch a video and watch somebody share their cards, or do I want to listen to someone talk about their cards? It's kind of like that, in opinion videos, we all want to watch a train wreck. I say dumb things all the time. I know a lot of people probably watch, listen to Turn Back the Clock just to hear me say something stupid. So it's one of those things, right?
Well, and I will say what's interesting, because I've done both type of videos. Video where I talk about the hobby, give opinions, stuff like that, and those will get more views. But then when I'll do a video where it's like a deep dive on a 90s parallel, or I'll talk about a Tom Brady card, or stuff, it's more of a deep dive, smaller views, smaller audience. But I tend to get more people reaching out to me, like messages on Instagram, that connect over, hey, I love that card too, or I was waiting for someone to talk about that. Maybe you'll get 5 of those. Whereas you do a broader video and you get more views and there's comments, but the comments kind of aren't as connecting. It's more of just like negative or positive. But like I'll get actually people reaching out to me when I get real specific about Pacific cards, stuff like that, where it's like, where there's a cult following of those type of things. So I think you can connect with people in different ways, even with a smaller video or a more deep dive than even some of those the videos that might get over 1,000 views. You might not connect with people as you would with a more specific type video.
Yeah, and I want to give some encouragement out to guys that we all started somewhere on YouTube. I started with 0 followers. I didn't plan on growing fast or slow. That wasn't my intention. My intention on my very first video was I wanted to put my opinions out in the card world. I'd been in it my whole life. That's why I did it. And I wanted to share my collection. I didn't know if people were going to like my videos or not like. And the friends I've made, those are the ones, those are like my core little group. But I'm friends with everyone in the space. But it's like one of those things. So when a new guy comes along and they've been doing it for like 6 months, and I could understand why they get 50 views. We all started that way. I didn't get thousands of views out of the gate or 100 views out of the gate. And it's not about that. You're never going to make money making sports card content. It's not going to happen. Maybe for the very exclusive, whatever. I don't even know if it's possible to really make it. Like maybe Daddy makes some money because he's selling like cereal bars now or something.
Sports card dad.
I was like, what? Daddy's selling cereal bars? Or?
I think it's Magic Spoon cereal.
That was true.
I gotta say, I like Dustin. I watched a video of his today. He seems like a guy that if I ever met him in person, we'd get along very well. And but you gotta give him crap about doing Magic Spoon cereal promotion. Absolutely. Good for him. Hey, good for you, man.
Exactly. Unless you're gonna go that way.
Yeah.
So, for the smaller channels out there, if you want to build your channel up, there's a recipe for that. And if you want to put your opinion videos out there, they will get 1,000 views. Jayhawker Vintage, Mike did a video. It blew up. You can be a small channel and have like a normal 50 views. And if you want more views, do an opinion video. Put your opinions out there. I want to hear them. Everybody wants to hear them. It doesn't matter if you've been in the hobby for a week or 100 years. Opinion videos are really fun. So my encouragement to anyone who has a small channel and is depressed and bummed, do some opinion videos. Blast yourself out there, say some stupid stuff, and you'll be up in the charts real quick. And along the way, you find your little core friends and invite them on your show and do collaborations. I love all the guys that come on and do collaborations like Turn Back the Clock. It's fascinating to me. All the collectors talking about cards together. It's really awesome.
Well, that's a perfect segue to my last point that I wanted to bring up to you, and last question. So again, Surface Issues episode 2, one of the topics was Greg was bringing up something that was in a group chat of ours where John Mangini was on another channel, Professor Sports Cards, and Greg was, giving him jokingly, all in good fun. He was saying, I think in the video, John said, I don't care what other people do. It doesn't matter to me how other people do it. But then in the same video, John was, giving his opinion on breaking and other aspects of the hobby. So, and we all do that. Is it, in your opinion, what's your breakdown of when we give opinions on, ways to collect or grading or whatever it might be in the hobby? Whenever you give your opinion, is that being taken the wrong way sometimes? Are people taking that and saying, well, they're looking down on me if I do that, or they think that I'm doing it wrong? Is it basically judging someone if you give an opinion on it, or are we just saying it's not for me? Or is there a way to say it where you can kind of make everyone happy? What do you think?
You got to do the old Greg spiel and put a long caveat before you speak on these podcasts and in the hobby. You have to clarify that these are my opinions. We used to do that all the time. I would always say, I'm less scared anymore. Like, if you don't know they're my opinions by now, then I'm sorry. But when I say centered cards are the future and the rarest things in tops that you can find, it's not the registration, it's not anything else. To me, it's more than an opinion, it's fact. Why? Because I've done the process of trying to find these cards, and that's the hardest thing to find. I don't need all this data like Greg and all this stuff to figure that out. To me, it's fact, but to you guys, it should be opinions. And I'm not telling you that your off-centered cards are useless to you. You should be thanking me for pumping up the centered cards and making them more expensive, because all the off-centered cards are getting a lot cheaper for you. So you can get mad at anyone's opinion, but it's opinions. That's the whole point of this. When I share a printing plate and I say this is the greatest thing in the world, these should be worth a fortune, man, it's not like a pump and dump scheme. I'm telling you what my thoughts are on the future of the cards. I'm telling you my Japanese baseball cards are the future. These things have a whole way ramp to go up in value. They're so astronomically low. This is my opinion. This is how I'm going about it. You can agree or disagree, but I'm going to still put it out there. And you're not wrong if you have a different opinion. You're just wrong to me. To me, you're totally doing it wrong. But I'm collecting for myself. I have the greatest collection in the whole world. Why? Because I made it for myself. I didn't make it for you. I didn't make it for this guy. This is my collection. It always stems back down to create what you want in your collection. It doesn't matter what anyone else does, but you are also allowed to listen to opinions and consider those opinions, and you're allowed to change your opinions. We don't need to put our head in the stand and say, no, never going to do that, never going to believe that. You're allowed to. And that's why I like Greg. He beats the dead horse till the thing is dead about, the eye appeal and the grading system, how it's flawed, and how the old, some of the new 4s are like the old 7s. And it took me a long time to kind of come to terms with that myself. But it taught me to look at my cards a little different way too. And it's good. So that's my thought about opinions, man. They're opinions, but they're facts in my brain when I say my opinions. Until otherwise, I change my opinion.
It's kind of like politics and what everyone's kind of trying to do now, right? It's like, all right, Dylan, you could go on a video and say, I think PSA 8s that are off centered are ugly cards, or I think they're bad purchases. I don't think they're a smart. I think it's a waste of money where you could spend on other cards. You could say something like that, which is a heavy opinion, right? And then if someone's watching that who has those type of cards in their collection, they spent good money on them, but they don't get bothered by bad centering. They can say, you know what, Dylan thinks my cards maybe not for him, or they might be ugly, but I still like Dylan, right? Like we don't have
Yeah.
to not like each other because we like certain things differently, you know, in the hobby. So I think it's some similarity there. And I understand why people, when you give an opinion on something, if, you know, I've heard people say things where they're like, I can't come up with a perfect example right now, but I've heard people give opinions on videos where I go, oh man, and then like kind of hurt my feelings at first, where I
Yes.
was like, man, I got cards like that, or I collect that type of card. But then I'm like, so what? Who cares? You know, like I still like this person. You know, they seem like a cool person. They don't have to like my collection. It's all good. So it's kind of just getting over that at first and not getting offended by these type of things. But I understand why people can take offense to it at first. But maybe the longer we do it, it'll be easier and easier to just all get along.
Yeah, let me touch base on that because that's really important. Like when I first got on here and I was talking about centering, I'll bring up an experience that I had that it felt gross to me, and then I'll bring up another experience where I made other people feel unwelcome or gross to equal it out. I was on a live and everybody was on there, and a gentleman who was very respected, and I love the guy. I've met him in the flesh, nicest human being ever. If you were, I don't want to bring his name up because there's no need. But in the live, he said, if anyone thinks that we never looked at eye appeal and centering in the past, I don't think they've collected. I don't think they've been collecting as long as they've said. And I felt pointed at, and I was said by many people in the chat and over the phone that, man, that was rough. That was tough, Dylan. And I was new at YouTube, right? So it did hurt because I was putting my opinion out there 3 years ago about the centering thing, like I was a crazy person, right? Selling all these off-centered stuff, all the higher grades, and so I was really putting myself out there. So I felt pointed at, and I called the individual and we talked, and I shouldn't have taken offense to that because he was just even if he had me in his brain, it doesn't mean he was right about that. I didn't need to defend myself, and I shouldn't have gotten butt hurt over that. And now let me take it another step forward where um, another experience, John 380's kid was talking crap on rookie cards. I felt like I was pointed at. That's me. Another one of my dumb, like, I shouldn't, I was like, why did I take offense to that? John, I know John so much more now. That's just John, you know, he's real. He's like me. We have our opinions and this is like fact, right? So he's talking about it, and then we talked over the phone. We're like best buds now, all good. Well, fast forward to the video we did not that long ago where I talked about bringing your bag of money and going in there and just saying screw comps. I got my bag of money. I'm gonna buy any card I want, and that was my experience with these printing plates. And I was like, okay, I'm buying these things. I don't care. I got my bag of money. I'm just gonna do it. Um, and I know people felt pointed at least one individual felt pointed at. And he wasn't pointed, he didn't feel pointed at himself. He felt like I was pointing at other individuals. So I made 2 phone calls to the other individuals that I thought the person was pointing at. They didn't take any offense, cleared it up. But it's things like that that happen on YouTube. It happens with friends. And it's, we really have to be careful on how we take things in when people give their opinions because they are opinions. And it's one thing until you say the person's name and say, you said this guy said this. I'm at the point where I can't get offended anymore. I don't want to be that guy who gets offended by things. I've learned over time that, look, there's guys that love off-centered stuff and we defend our own collections. If I'm a guy who have all these old 8 cert numbers and 9 cert numbers, and Greg's talking about how they're garbage now and they're fives, and I'm telling them I think it's crazy they're spending $5,000 for a card that's uglier than my four that cost $100. It's the truth to me, but that guy has to defend his own collection. He spent a big amount of time and money on that collection, so I understand them really getting an uproar about it. But you can do something about that if you truly believe that you still, those eights and nines are still going to be worth more in the future. Then hold your ground. We could be totally wrong about this whole thing, but if for any reason you have any doubt, you can change your opinion and make a fortune off those and recollect them. So this hobby evolves, and so does our relationships with these opinion videos, and feeling pointed at. When Victor, I'll bring up Victor, okay? When you were on with Victor, he said something on the lines of, he said like, oh, I'm so sick of people saying these base cards are junk. I'm like, I never actually heard that. And I wrote him, and I love Victor, okay? I have the utmost respect for Victor and what he does on his channel and his concentration on the rookie card. He had Bobby Burrell on his channel the other day. I listened to that. Thought it was fantastic. It made so much sense to me. I've learned a lot from Victor in those rookie cards. Whether my opinions are exactly aligned with him, no. But I'd never heard anyone say these base cards are crap. But sometimes I feel like he's talking to me because I always say base cards are never going to go up in value. And I believe that. I've believed that since the day I got on YouTube. I never understood why the Mike Trout base card was worth like $8,000 and then $2,000. None of it made sense to me. Why Ken Griffey Jr.'s 89 upper deck should be worth $50 in all grades. All that doesn't make sense to me, but it doesn't mean I'm right. So I know I went off on a tangent, but we're allowed to poke our opinions out, and we shouldn't be getting ripped apart in the comments because we're up here saying stuff and it's okay, and you can say it in the chat. You don't have to be so hardcore and like mean about it. There's other ways to do it, and you can build your own channel up and put opinions out of your own.
Yeah, and it's funny about Victor because I think Victor gets a lot of kickback from not so much maybe our crowd on YouTube. I think he gets a lot of kickback from a lot of the modern crowd, that really doesn't value the rookie card, and they throw the base cards in the trash, and he gets I think he gets a lot of feedback from that crowd. So I think that's probably where some of that comes from, not necessarily like you or anyone in this crowd on YouTube. But my last point, I've heard you say this in the past. This was like a long time ago, where you were talking about, I think you had like certain cards, maybe a Michael Jordan rookie card or some really big cards that have gotten a lot bigger. And I think I remember you saying like one of the reasons why you were always maybe hesitant to hold on to those cards is because you were collecting in a vacuum, like a lot of us, and you really weren't sure of like what the future held. Like, is this card going to be even valuable in the future? We didn't know. I think with a lot of us, maybe the defensiveness of our collections and the way we go about the hobby, maybe a lot of that's rooted in a little bit of insecurity about the hobby, even though now it's very popular and everyone's very not everyone, but a lot of people are very bullish on the hobby long term, and there's big companies in it, there's a lot of marketing behind it, there's a good infrastructure there. That's pretty recent. I think in the past, I mean, we lived through the junk wax era. we went through periods where it felt like we were the only ones doing this, right? So I think there's a lot of that out there with people that are spending real money on their collections. When they hear someone give an opinion that kind of contradicts what they've spent their money on, they can get defensive a little bit and can get maybe offended because they've spent a lot of money, and maybe all of us have a little insecurity about what we're doing here, spending some serious money on cardboard. So I've always kind of had that thought, and even the companies up until recently. Now, I mean, these companies are really going after it, Fanatics and PSA and everything. I mean, there's big money at stake and big marketing dollars, real serious people at the helm that have a long history of success in whatever they try to do. But up until like the last few years, really the companies, in my opinion, in the hobby were kind of not real bullish on the hobby long term. I always, it kind of felt like these companies were just waiting for things to just crash again, or completely go, everything just go away. Like no one was really willing to invest heavily into their company. And then I think that's a lot of what you see with like old PSA labels and so forth. Even PSA back in the day, I don't think they were investing until the new leadership came in. I don't think they were really investing in their company, and I don't know. That's just maybe going a little too deep into it, but that I've been thinking about that where now it's different, but people have been in it a while. It's kind of like PTSD sometimes in the hobby.
It was way scarier in the past because there was no YouTube. There were
Yeah.
no, when I had those monster cards, it was like, I mean, they weren't monsters then. They were $500 cards back then. They were monsters for, 1999, 2001. I'm
Yeah.
out of high school working full time. Like, I told myself I'm going to buy all these goats. I'm going to buy every goat of every single sport, Gretzky rookies, all the way across. I had a few Michael Jordan rookies, Nolan Ryan rookies, you name it. If I would have kept, Kobe Bryant refractors in '96, I had loads of this stuff. If I would have kept all those cards the whole time and never knew their value, I would have at least $2 million worth of cards, right now. So it's one of those things, but I was alone, I'm thinking, man, who is eventually you hold on to them long enough and then they stack up in these safes and you have like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, especially back then as a young man, it got scary. And I'm like, gosh, man. So I put that money into stocks instead.
And it's hard
I,
when you don't know anyone else who is into cards. That's where I
yes,
was
that's it.
a little over 4 years ago. I was literally like, I don't know one person who still buys cards or cares about cards. I know I do for some reason, but when you don't see anyone else out there and you don't have anyone to talk about, nothing to bounce off of, then you do. Yeah, you're just like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of I love these things, but I got to be careful, I guess, because it could be good. It could be going to zero. Now with YouTube and social media, we have so much that we can see out there. We can see the national. I didn't even know the national was a thing until I got on YouTube. I never even heard of the national.
I
So
went to
now
the
that we
National
see
when I
like,
was
oh,
like
there's
12.
100,000 people at
Yeah.
the national. I mean, it does give you more confidence, I think, in like what we're doing. I think,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have no problem where say everything got cut in half. I'm not worried about the hobby at this point. There's Chris Sewell did a video today and I am 100% in agreement with him. There's more collectors today, full blown collectors. I don't care if you're a flipper or whatever. I'm talking if you're playing with cards in some way, shape, or form, you're some sort of a collector for the most part. There's more collectors now than there've ever been in any time, even during that 90s boom, in my opinion, of course. So it gives me confidence, like, man, everything got cut in half. Give it another 20 years, we'll hit another boom time. And I think, man, I think we're in the still like fifth inning of this hobby boom. I know I'm not talking prices necessarily, but hobby boom.
Popularity.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I think that's a great way to end this one, Dylan, on a positive note, right? We're optimistic, we're hopeful, and I think we have good reason to be. So I want to leave it with this. Now, this video will go on YouTube. It goes out on a podcast first. I know a lot of guys that may catch this on YouTube. They're not. I've heard from people who have no clue how to listen to a podcast. So if you have one of those smartphones, guys, you get an iPhone, just download Spotify or Apple. That's all you need. One of those two, if not both. But all you need is one of them. And look for the Sports Card Clubhouse. I'm going to put links in the video here. And unless you have YouTube Premium, which I do have YouTube Premium, I've had it for a long time. I know you do, where it allows you to really listen to YouTube as a podcast. I know a lot of guys don't have it. You can't. It's really hard to like listen to a video like this. You're out, mowing the lawn or whatever, because when you click your phone off, it shuts the thing off unless you have the premium, right? So, I encourage people to either get YouTube Premium or start listening on a podcast to these type of episodes because it's a lot easier.
Dude, this is a call out straight up to Lou Rock. I talked to him about this. He doesn't have the premium. He's watching commercials for all the YouTube content. I go, it's $10 a month, $120 a year, and you don't have to watch any commercials and you can turn into a podcast and go, what is wrong with you? So, Lou Rock, you gotta, dude, step up your game, man. That's nothing. Just it's a game changer to be able to close your phone and it's a podcast, doesn't burn a hole in your pocket. You don't have to watch all it's, you don't have to watch all those freaking commercials watching our videos. So, last thing I want to say, Adam, is that, you know, again, I'm going to clarify the fact that these are my personal opinions when I speak. If you have different opinions, that's fantastic. I'm not telling you to go do anything that I'm doing or believe anything that I'm saying. All I want to do is come across as not, I want to be just a me as a normal person. I'm not mad at anyone for collecting differently than me. I'm not pointing at you for anything you're doing in this hobby. If I think you're wrong, it's just, that's just my opinion. I'm not going to be like, you're wrong, you're the worst person ever because you're wrong.
Right.
No, I
Right.
don't care how you collect. I truly do not care. I just really wanted to put that there. One last thing to make it even more controversial, for Victor and anybody else. You know, when I was a kid, when I opened up a pack of Topps baseball cards, 1987, 86, when I got common players, you know where they went? Into my spokes. So I have no problem with kids not loving all the commons that come out of the packs. I don't care. I was the same way as a kid. So you don't need to collect every single card. You know, every base card that comes out of a pack isn't worth everything. You don't need to just pile up these stacks of cards. Some people love it, but not everyone needs to love every card that comes out of a pack. So I want to, throw that in the system too. Work
Nice.
Victor up a little bit.
Work them
I
up.
love you,
Victor's a
Victor.
great guy, and actually, one of the reasons I love Tom Brady base rookie cards is because those were commons when they came out of the pack. Everyone thought
Yeah.
he was a common, right? So that's why I think they're really cool. Is because a lot of people, when they pulled a Brady rookie out of a pack in 2000 or 2001, they threw it in the trash. So I love it. That's why I love those cards. All right, we're gonna wrap it here, Dylan. First one of many here in the future. This was awesome. Guys, thanks for listening and watching. We'll catch you on the next one.